Alright, so I just rewatched Rascal Does Not Do Bunny Girl Senpai after I watched the movie. Because, I wanted to see how all the other arcs compared to the one in the movie. It had been a really long time. I don't think I've watched this show since it aired, so it has been quite a few years. Maybe not quite a few. I think it's like 2 years old or some shit. But yeah. So I figured I'd go back, rewatch this shit because I liked it when I first watched it. So why not rewatch that shit and see how they all rank? So I'm gonna start with just easily the best one. I think everyone will agree this is the best one by far, no competition. Is the My Arc? It's just absolutely insane. These first 3 episodes are like the benchmark for how to do an arc, maybe in general. Like this is one of my favorite arcs I think in any like show, but definitely in romance anime. This is like god damn. This is some really good shit. This is like how you make a compelling romance. And yeah, it is really fucking good. Um, yeah, they're every scene with these two on screen interacting with each other is fucking good as fuck. Their banter is fucking insane. They're just chemistry in general is off the fucking charts. Um, and just man, so many scenes fucking packed with emotion. The scene where she knows he's like staying up to not forget about her, and they go to study together, and she like drugs him to make him fall asleep. Ooh, the tension in that scene as he's falling asleep is fucking insane. Holy shit. These first 3 episodes, honestly, if you watched a show a long time ago, I'd recommend just go back and just watch these 3 episodes. Like, fuck. They're so good. Just has a nice, contained romance story. And it was going to be really hard to top this for any other arc, and I don't think any arc comes close. Spoiler alert, but yeah, this is easy S tier. But yeah, let's see how the other ones compare to this. So, the Toga arc. So this one immediately follows Mai's arc, and I think that's probably the biggest thing it has going for it. It's just mostly writing the Mai arc, and a lot of the best parts about this arc are still just interactions between Mai and oh my god, Sakuta. Okay, I almost forgot his fucking name. Um, there are still some decent moments in this. I think in general, though, the quirk really, at least for me, coming off the My arc, when he then goes and he asks Maya at the very first episode of this arc, and she says yes, and then the day resets, and he does it again, and the day resets again. That's like really frustrating. That shit sucks. And then when he doesn't do that, the day doesn't reset. Oh my god, that is so fucking frustrating. And at least by the end, it kind of like ended up resetting back to that point, so that was kind of cool. I think you can kind of forgive it by the end there, but because it starts off like that, you kind of start off just being frustrated with this Toga. I don't even fucking remember her name. God damn it. Bitch, like right off the bat, like she's annoying just because she fucking cucks the MC immediately. But in general, her arc has some okay moments. I don't hate her as a character. The like whole like she likes her cell phone thing is a little like ham-fisted. She's kind of insanely stereotyped, but it's not awful. Yeah, I don't hate this arc at all, but it definitely didn't wow me. Like I said, my favorite parts about this arc were nothing to do with her, which I don't think says great things about the arc. So I'm gonna give this arc a B tier. It was an okay follow up to the My arc, and by the end, it was kind of okay. He just made a new friend and ended up with Mai. Wow, awesome. Okay, Futaba arc. So, I think my main criticism of this arc is just, man, Futaba is an awesome character, and I feel like there's a lot of missed potential here. And I think a lot of people like this arc just because they like Futaba, but I don't actually think this arc is that good. Like the scene where she goes to the beach with Sakura and the homie was pretty cute, I guess. That was like a high point. But I feel like they didn't expand on the two selves kind of dilemma quite enough. They kind of got there, but it didn't totally make sense exactly what the like major like confliction or like tear in her personality was. Like they kind of seemed like each half of her was just like kind of the same. Like I think it would have been more interesting if because they almost kind of went where like, oh, one is like really like fucking slutty and shit. Oh my god. And if they like really like push that bit more to where like they were noticeably different personalities, I think that would have helped this arc, as you know, kind of be like her fighting with two sides of herself, which it kind of was. I just feel like they didn't push that enough. And I think Futaba was such a great character that they could have done more here. Um, but I still think some Futaba time was still pretty good, and the arc just it had a slow start, and I think that was another thing that kind of held it back. So in general, I think this arc just kind of ends up being okay, which is unfortunate. Because I had very high hopes for this arc, but I think this arc also kind of ends up in B tier. Nodoka arc. So I think this arc is probably my least favorite. Um, I think the biggest problem, man, there's a lot of problems with this arc, honestly. Where to begin? I just, I, she comes like right off the bat, fucking whiny as fuck. She's just not, she just doesn't feel like a good character to me. Like a lot of the shit she does is just fucking cringe. Like it's a little bit too exaggerated. I don't know. I enjoy kind of the sister relationship being repaired, and I think by the end that's pretty cool. Um, I definitely think it's a nice breakup from the just like kind of waifu cycle or whatever, where everybody just. I mean, not Futaba, I guess, isn't really like gunning for Sakura, so I guess it's not really that much of a breakup. But you know, you know what I mean. It's a little bit different, at least. But I don't like this character, and I think a lot of the shit she goes through is just a little cringe. Like a lot of the her trying to like live up to Mai is like, okay. I mean, like you're kind of doing your thing too. I don't know. I know Maya's like bigger than her, obviously, as a like celebrity or whatever. But I mean, she kind of seems like she's got a cool thing going on. I don't know why she's like so ass mad. And like obviously, it's like her big realization is like, oh, Maya's life is hard. Like no shit, what the fuck. Um, and I don't know. I don't think this arc is terrible, but it's not good. I'm gonna give it C tier with it could be a D tier for me, but I'm gonna say C for now. I'm gonna say D. It's just not enjoyable. It feels like a break in the show. It feels like the most unnecessary arc I think of any of the arcs. That's why I hate it so much. It feels like you're wasting my time in this arc. Also, as a side note, when they transform back into each other, that is the go watch that shit again. It is the maybe I'll be able to find a clip of it or something, but it is the creepiest looking as shit. Like they actually like transform like fucking bone cracking noises. What the fuck was that? That just seemed bizarre, but okay. On to Kyde. I I feel like a lot of people don't like this arc, but I actually do like this arc. Um, and I feel like this arc definitely it has some issues for sure. It's pretty slow, and it's kind of it borders on being sad to be sad, but like, and maybe it's actually not really good, and I'm just like prone to this liking the sad to be sad shit. But man, this arc is fucking emotionally taxing. Holy shit! Like this bitch like literally fucking dies. Like the Kyde that you've known the whole series, and I also like that it's I think every arc does a decent job of being vaguely grounded in reality. But I think the dissociation is like a real thing, and like I don't know, it seems like fitting for what happened to her, and I think they kind of implement it pretty well with her like wiping out the memory of all the shit she went through, like becoming a new person, and yeah, damn it's like I don't know, like it's hard to say much other than it's sad, but like I think knowing Kyde through the whole thing, and like you're kind of like rooting for her to like get back out in the world, and then when she does, it like essentially like kills her and like reverts her back to her old self, which is like conflicting in itself, because like you're kind of glad that she's like back to being normal, but like she's also kind of gone. That kind of is kind of gone, but like it's also good that the old one's back, even though you don't know her. Like like it's like kind of cool that she's back. I guess it's just a really like mind fucky thing that I think they do a good job exploring, and I think definitely the taxing toll it takes on Sakura's mental is nicely portrayed, because you would expect it to like fuck with his brain pretty hard. So maybe unpopular here, but I think this arc is like A tier. I thought it was a decent way to end the show. I think definitely the show started great and it ended okay. There's a bit of just trouble in the middle, and I don't think any of these arcs are bad. Like, I still didn't hate the Nogata arc. It's just compared to the others, I think it's significantly worse. But okay, Shoko, the one from the movie. The more I want to like this arc a lot. This is the one of the hardest. Even since I talked about it in a previous video, the more I think about this movie, just the more frustrating it is. Just it's one of those things where just every time you think about it, like you realize how many more like holes there are in it. Like every time you think harder about it, shit falls apart a little bit more, and it just makes a little bit less sense every time you go back and try to sort through it in your brain. But man, the first part of this arc was so strong up to my dying. Man, it really sucks that they just could not stick the landing. I don't understand. I don't understand what happened, and that's like a huge problem. Man, I wish they just like something needed to happen that just made sense, even if it was just like she's dead. I don't know. That would have been better, because at least it would have been like, damn, okay, fuck. But they were also kind of set it up so that it was like gonna be fucked if she kind of died based on where Sakura's head was at. But it just doesn't make sense how she ends up just alive, like no consequences. It doesn't make it really. I feel I don't want to talk about it at length too much, because I already made like a whole 10-minute video going into how much this shit doesn't make any sense. But it really, after that second half, there's no way she should be alive. There's just no way. It doesn't make any sense. But I think so even though I think this has some of the most just blatantly bad elements of any arc, I think the first half was strong enough to where this is like a C tier for me. I still liked it more than the Nodoka arc, just because it felt more impactful. There was more shit going on, more emotional shit. I mean, I think this show is just undoubtedly best when emotions are high. I mean, for sure. Every arc tries to peak at like a high emotional state, but I think arcs like the Nogata arc, the Koga arc, and the Futaba arc, their peaks are just not that great. And I think if they landed the second half of this arc more, this could have been A or maybe even S, like behind. It probably would have been like A, like above Kyde A. Probably not as. I mean, the My arc is just so fucking insane. I think even the first half of the Shoko arc wasn't as good as like um it was like almost my standards, I thought. But something they would have had to do something really insane in the second half to make it as good as the my shit. But still, it's pretty good. So yeah. I think that's my ranking. I think that's all I gotta say. It's probably might have been a bit rambly, but I think I got my point across. Yeah, I had fun rewatching this shit. This is a good ass show. I still really like it. And I think it has a ton of faults, but it is really just a fun show to watch. So, yeah.